What is up, everybody? Hey, how are you? How's your quarantine? How's your COVID? You wearing your mask outside? Well, stay inside. And I'd like to welcome you to the CuzNCiseal Show, the first episode of a new weekly podcast by me, Mike Fowler, aka CuzNCiseal. And I know with that intro, you're like, what's he doing? Is he doing a current events podcast? Nope. This is going to be another weekly video game podcast. But also, I am going to do movies. I'm also going to do some comics. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of life in your ear holes. So, I hope you enjoy the ride. And to start the first episode of the CuzNCiseal Show, I would like to introduce myself a little bit more in depth. My name's Mike Fowler. You might have heard me on Twitter at MikeFowler93. I'm 30 years old. I've been gaming for as long as I remember. My first system was the Super Nintendo. I've transitioned into more of the PlayStation gamer. I got 167 platinum trophies, going on 168 with Ghost of Tsushima. But that's where I've been usually hanging out more into the PlayStation realm of gaming. I have a pretty well balanced knowledge of all gaming spots. Xbox, I stopped having Xbox at the 360 era. Never had an Xbox One. I have a Switch, but that's really like what they've been trying to say the Switch Lite is kind of like my secondary system. So I kind of use it for more just the exclusives and dabble into maybe some of the possibly better dealed indie games on that end. And that's how I played Cuphead, because Cuphead's awesome. I'm also a father of 4 kids. My stepson is 11. My oldest daughter is 10. Her sister is 7. And my son is 3. But more focus into the podcast. Trying to do a little bit more of a trifecta of nerdism of like what we're going to talk about. But this week in particular, sit tight. It's a video game focused one, because we had a lot of news come through, especially with the Xbox showing their first party games. Some news coming out of actually Sony with the Ghost of Tsushima sales. And then also I like to go back because I haven't heard that many people talk about the Day of the Devs, little Jeff Keighley indie special that's, mixed with I Am 8-Bit and Double Fine. All right. One more thing before we get into the news. I do want to do a little topic of what I've been playing this week. And it's basically been all Ghost of Tsushima. This game from Sucker Punch is probably creeping up to be my game of the year. I can't believe it. After just finishing Last of Us 2 and platinuming that. And I love the story what Naughty Dog did with The Last of Us 2. I just wanted to put out there because that's old news, but obviously there's some hot topics with that story, but I love it. I think actually The Last of Us 2 story is better than the first one. I know I'm in the minority of that, but just I love it was like a real movie ending. It felt so good, even like with spoilers out there in the world, and hearing like people didn't like that the revenge plot didn't go as planned, but it just felt good. Even like people said, it felt rushed, but like this game compared to the first one was not 1 year. This took multiple years of processing that you did in that one playthrough, and I just felt like it hit me just right. I felt each time like, yep, I felt the connection. I understood why, like, even how the ending started, how we started the ending of like after. I'll just not even spoil it. Even people didn't like how the farmhouse scene, and then we went, boom, the story continued. But I felt it was all understood. I understood why Ellie continued the mission, even though she was in a pretty decent spot in the farm. But yeah, I'm not really getting that far besides what I just did. I'm not getting that far into The Last of Us 2. But anybody who's a PlayStation fan should just play it out of respect. It was phenomenal. But yeah, back to the Ghost of Tsushima. This game is probably... I just got into Chapter 2, and usually each chapter has three... Well, what I've been seeing has three main missions to continue the chapter. I just did the 3. I have not finished to get into Chapter 3 yet. But it took me... It felt like 20 hours to get into at least Chapter 2. This game is PlayStation's true Breath of the Wild. People said that with Horizon Zero Dawn back when, because they came out at the same time, Breath of the Wild and Horizon. But this one is truly like the PlayStation's Breath of the Wild, and like probably almost a more decent swan song of the PlayStation 4 console than Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2 might have it in the story and maybe the feelings of a story can give you, but gameplay and true gameplay direction, Ghost of Tsushima is top notch. You'll learn with me. I'm a big trophy whore. I love platinums. It connects to me, that whole meta game of earning trophies, getting a little imaginary badge of honor from a platinum onto my profile. Usually, even with Last of Us 2, because I'm sorry I'm repeating myself about that, but it's the latest game I played. After the story, it just became look at a YouTube video, look up, repeat what the video did, just to get that platinum. And like I said with Ghost, I'm already 20 hours, and I hit Chapter 2 finally, because I just been doing Breath of the Wild style, just exploring. There are these fox dens everywhere. This idea of using these little cues of the world that make the world feel alive more than any game on the PlayStation has done. Of like that stupid yellow bird, because I know there's that bird is very glitchy sometimes. I've watched it wall ride a cliff to show that I'm supposed to go around this mountain more times than others. It's a flaw, but it's literally a flaw I can look past. They have these. This is what people have been wanting in a way of like, this is like also to mix it up. This is like the Assassin's Creed that people have been begging for like years. They want a feudal Japan Assassin's Creed, and then honestly, it hits it really good. I don't know why I'm stalling about how to speak of it, but just the idea of like even like the combat is like a mix of old school Assassin's Creed where there's a majority of people out there that miss that old style where they want stealth, but I'll give the fans that there's stealth, but the combat is so well done. Like you can do it all stealth, but it feels much better doing the samurai, maybe not standoff, but like knowing once you unlock all the different stances, it gives it like a little bit of like a Souls vibe, because obviously then you have to worry about, okay, I got 3 guys with a long spear. I have to switch to a certain stance that's good against spears. Plus there's a brute, and then you have to learn all this stuff. And it's like becomes a really nice dance of combat that's very fulfilling and just great for right now. There's been a lot of, obviously 2020, there's probably going to be books written about this fucking year. And just knowing that this is like a light of a little bit of joy, because obviously Last of Us 2 was very despair, coincidentally, that it came out during a pandemic and it's about a pandemic, but this one is just such a nice refresh. Like, this is a good game, really good. Like, if you're a PlayStation, or if you have a PlayStation, I think for money wise, in Ghost of Tsushima at full price compared to even Last of Us right now. That's how well it's hooked into me. But I just want to leave on, guys, please go try Ghost of Tsushima if you've not. Jin's a very awesome character to enjoy. He was a little cold at the beginning, but also I think it's like that classic samurai story of like he's gonna be a little frozen, but then he has to loosen up because he becomes a ghost more than a samurai. But I would really look into it more. I'm not that finished, and if I get to have somebody on this show, maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. But anyway, on to the news. I want to actually start off with probably the smallest news article of mine is from Push Squared, actually about Ghost of Tsushima, that within 3 days, they sold 2.4 million copies of the game. And Sony has came out and said that is our fastest new IP sells ever. Apparently it's even better, like faster than, I guess, well, Spider-Man doesn't count because that's not technically a new IP, I don't think, but it is the fastest selling new IP on the PS4. It beats out Horizon Zero Dawn, it beat out Days Gone, and even Bloodborne. It's a definitely huge win for Sucker Punch, and I just want to say congrats on my first ever show to Sucker Punch. But yeah, all right, and that's really much it for that. Now on to like the two big parts. And I really want to start off with the Xbox Showcase, because I want to say it as a non-Xbox fan in the sense that this ain't my main system, but I do respect what they've been doing. I do have some problems with like maybe some Xbox fans, but that's a different story. I kind of want to just go down the little bit of the road of how I watched it. This was the first party / games that have exclusive launches onto Xbox that are maybe, I don't know, third party, closer to like indie second party developers. So if you know, I think this pandemic stuff, I think it was in June. June Xbox had the third party showcase that they were hyping it up. They were talking about having Assassin's Creed Valhalla shown, and said it was going to be, this is going to be the first thing you're going to see about next gen. That went very flat, and I believe, if I look back in my Twitter, I think I graded it, but each segment, that segment to me was like a D+ in presentation. They went first against all the other companies like PlayStation or even if Nintendo had some directs lately, but they thought it was a good idea to have like their members of Xbox and Microsoft like do it from home off their like 3 megapixel webcams, or like how Colin Moriarty said, like made it look like they were part of a beheading from Al-Qaeda mission. And then this one in particular, though, going to the newest presentation, they put some actual production value into them going, hello, my name is, the one I can remember is Matt Booty. Like, hey, I'm Matt Booty. These are the games we're looking forward to for next gen. I hope you enjoy and all that stuff. Way better presentation this time around. And then the creme de la creme of it, they opened it up with Halo Infinite. They did a demo. They showed it was playable, and I want to call it a little bit of a stumble. Not in gameplay, because I'm going to give every single gameplay idea a grain of salt, because it's literally still being worked on. But it did not look next gen. I think because there has not been anything out there yet, to my knowledge, I think they showed us, an Xbox One, maybe Xbox One X version of Halo Infinite. For some reason, the faces on the guy who was flying the ship with Master Chief, everyone has seen the Brute meme now. Something's up. There was way better quality of characterization in frickin' Halo 3. If that explains, like, distance of time. Even the new bad guy, I'm not even that. Halo 3 is like the last game. I haven't even played Reach, truly. I do like this Brute baddie. I do have problems because during the demo, again, not trying to bash it, but you do see graphical hiccups, things jumping like fog or trees coming in and out at certain spots where you're not looking at, like, because, eyes are on the Warthog or even Master Chief going up the elevator, but there's some spots in those landscape spots that were bogging out on the footage. I even looked up, like, even like a higher quality to make sure it wasn't like something weird off like their stream. No. But, and then also, they need some polishing. And I'm very surprised for 343, which has like the holy grail of IP, even for any platform, under their hands, and they just act like they don't know what to do with Master Chief. It's really odd. Gameplay-wise, they showed Master Chief now has a grappling hook. I really think that's a neat addition. Without knowing exactly, I hope maybe multiplayer, they'll listen to fans and maybe cut down on some of the features they put in single player and maybe make multiplayer something different, because I don't know what the problem is, but also I do understand, like, I have watched Chris Reagan's video of him and his things, critiques he wants for the multiplayer. So, like, I hope they listen for the fan base, maybe some of the criticisms, and think about that before they just send it off. But yeah, I Halo Infinite looked good. I mean, besides there's some just little critiquing parts, it just didn't look that next gen to me. It looked great. I know it's a demo, so I'm not saying it all, but obviously, even like for a demo, they made their enemies kind of look like a shooting ground. They didn't really look like they were put that much AI mindset into them to like hide or anything. I know they show, oh yeah, the brutes can throw a grunt. Big fucking whoop. It just made him look like a shooting guy. It was a demo. I'll give it that. Anyway, they also showed, what is it? Some other titles. They also showed, like, they showed a new trailer for The Medium, one of their exclusive launches. They also showed even newer exclusive launches. Like, they're going to get Tetris Effect. They're calling this one Connected, because you're going to get the base game plus a new multiplayer patch. And they also, down the road, I heard after the show, Push Squared said that at least everybody, like, PlayStation's going to get that patch for multiplayer next August. So, I mean, we don't get it this Christmas like Xbox, but at least it's coming to all platforms that it's on. So that's cool. I like the game, The Gunk, from the creators of the SteamWorld Dig games. I'm a little down as a PlayStation fan that they've came out and said that game's a Xbox exclusive, period. So, I miss out on that one. Maybe somewhere down the road, maybe it's under maybe they're just really strong on the contract. They're just going to say, yep, it is till further notice. Because some also more news came out, like even with like that Medium game, that one is somewhere down the road is going to come to PlayStation. They said just is not in the cards right now, but we are not closing that door. They said. I'm like, okay, good, because that looked like a really good Silent Hill style game of like being able to turn to a different reality, of like a scary reality on like the blink of a button. So that's really cool. But also one thing out, they also showed at the end, they showed a teaser, like a sizzle trailer teaser of Fable. So they're saying, yep, we got that in the books coming. But I know I'm also kind of summing it up, but they had maybe, let's say 12 games. They had like a little highlight, hey, yep, this is going on with Hellblade 2, no gameplay. They had a great trailer for Psychonauts 2. The big cherry on the top of the whole presentation that makes it go up to, I will give this presentation probably a solid B+. Almost A-, but B+. Some things, because like I said, the demo had some real flaws in my eyes, but what makes it stay up so high is how strong they make the Xbox Game Pass look. They had 12 games shown in the actual presentation. All 12 are day and date on Game Pass when they come out, which is awesome. And that is their strength. And me, as a person who is trying to be optimistic, I do have questions on how they get paid off that thing. because of just some discussion right now. Game Pass is still kind of fresh. Like, people are still under that umbrella of like paying only $1 for multiple months they've got it for. Yeah, people like my stepson has an Xbox One, and we got him the Game Pass. So he's in that window. He pays the full price. But I did at the same time, I also found a deal for 6 months for only the price of 3 months. So obviously, yeah, they do really good deals. They're really getting people on board. I do like the outlook that I've been told. They say they want to overdo Game Pass so well that you can't really complain about it. And it works. But I do think it's funny how all these influencers are popping up saying, "Oh wow, Xbox!" Like, they're trying to highlight Xbox. Maybe it's because they're the newest talk of the town right now of this week because of new news. But like, as a PlayStation guy, for me, I've heard about Game Pass since it came out. Like, I've heard you guys yelling it on top of the hills. Now you have the influencers coming to you saying, "Guys, you ever heard of this Game Pass? It's great." I'm like, come on. That might be my PlayStation sourpuss talking, but anyway. Also, 2 other games that no one really talks about because it wasn't involved in the show that I want to kind of highlight is Hello Neighbor 2 was announced with Jeff Keighley right before the pre-show. And then this other game called Exomech, I believe it's called. It kind of looked like Transformer Halo, like the Michael Bay Transformers. Like, they're all in that all metal silver. Like, there was like there's dragons, there's people, soldiers with guns. There's also 2 guys in mech suits, like fighting sword and shield style, bigger than everybody on the field. If anybody has a chance, I'd go look up Exomech announcement from during this Jeff Keighley stuff. It was kind of crazy. And then, speaking of Jeff Keighley, like I said, I'd like to talk about the week before the Xbox showcase was the Day of the Devs, which is usually the I Am 8-Bit and Double Fine make a little collaboration of, like, usually it's a free party, basically. Anybody gets it. Everybody who's in Los Angeles, I'm assuming, gets to come try these demos or and socialize about these games. And I just wanted to say some highlight games that were in it that I want to have people keep an eye out on. First one is Ghost Runner. It was kind of like this cybernetic ninja. Just looks like a running game, like kind of like a Mirror's Edge, but a little bit more combat to help keep the motions going. This game that's coming to the Switch called I Am Dead. I can't really offhand remember what it was, but it just had like that quirky. I'm really into these indie games. They even show they had like the Goose Game was going to get like a new recycled edition physical copy, which is cool. I mean, obviously, Day of the Devs also had music. We got to hear the full Bugsnax theme, and it's stuck in my head. It's really bad. But I also like that they highlight these things because obviously, like I said, I have 2 daughters, and I like hearing about that company Girls Make Games, and they have a game coming out that's going to be on the system called Find Me, about like a little girl's shadow and dodge lighting. It's very 2D, little side scroller thing, but the idea of like these are like 12-year-olds making it, and they're girls. It's awesome. Makes me like see the future good for my daughters. Another quick ones to look at if you guys have a chance is Unto the End, which is like a husband and wife working like this linear game that kind of looks like if Salt and Sanctuary was like in the snow of like a Viking snow style. That's if you know that game. It looked pretty good. It caught my eye. And this other game called Void Train. But yeah, other quick notes I also like to say is another part of the show I like to do is, because like I said, this was a very video game heavy one. I'm going to be firing off some hot picks. I really hope that people who listen might give them a try if you haven't heard them yet. Here's one. This week's hot pick for movie, I'd like you guys to check out The Old Guard on Netflix. That Charlize Theron Apparently, it was a comic book movie about these immortal warriors. I watched it last night, and actually, it was pretty good. It was really good, actually. Some flaws with one character that you meet that's a new immortal, but she grew on me after a while. But it was a really good movie, and it obviously sets it up for a sequel, and also book 2, so volume 2 of like the Old Guard comic from Greg Ruckus is coming out in September. That I think they're gonna continue with what happens in the book / what in the movie, because I think they did pretty well. Actually, going into comics, I'm a big DC fan, so I hope you guys can maybe check into Batman 95, which is like the prelude or the first issue of the Joker Wars coming out. Apparently killing it again, because Tom King was the author of Batman, of this current Batman run till Batman 75, the City of Bane arc, and then James Tynion IV, who's been running Detective Comics, took the helm, and he's been apparently writing it as well as he's been doing Detective Comics, and then he's been treating what he does in Detective Comics into the Batman Series 2, which is really good to have that same mindset, thinking about worrying about 2 books. And then, holy cow, I almost forgot. Another comic I like you guys to look into is DC's Death Metal. Now, for the uninitiated, DC had a run of a whole universe event called Metal from Scott Snyder, who ran Batman back in the New 52 era, about right before 2016. But anyway, he's been running also the Justice League arc, and that's been phenomenal. But with DC Death Metal, it is going to be what happens after Scott Snyder's run on Justice League and the events of Metal, which open up a whole new plethora of things like the whole dark multiverse, like the Batman Who Laughs, which is basically a Batman that is from a planet of Gotham that he was injected with the Joker toxin. He's as strong as Batman, but as crazy as the Joker, and he's been basically kicking ass for the past year, during the year of the villain. There's only 2 issues of Death Metal out right now, but basically the quickest summary I can say is basically the Batman Who Laughs won and has superheroes locked up, and they pulled off their heist. And long story short, it involves everything that's been going on with the new god named Peltra. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's one of those names that you read it differently than probably how you pronounce it. But she's basically the mother of, like, for CW fans, the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and the World Forger. She's like the newest baddie of the DC universe. And there was a whole little fight with the Justice League and the Legion of Doom with Lex Luthor had Peltra or his control. But anyway, and the Death Metal involves the Batman Who Laughs and Peltra kind of work together, and she thinks he works for her, but obviously he's the Batman mind, so technically he only does it because he knows he has a secret plan. And in the first issue of the Death Metal, the secret plan basically was kind of flipped on it, but also he always has a plan B, because Wonder Woman kills him, but his henchmen take him back. And one cool thing about the DC Rebirth and like this most current universe, because usually they like to wipe the universe and start off fresh every 5, 6, 7 years, they merged like the Watchmen stuff. So long story short, I'm trying to get to is the evil henchmen put the Batman Who Laughs brain into a Dr. Manhattan. So now there is a Dr. Manhattan Who Laughs. I'm just going to leave it at that. So there's going to be a evil Batman with the power of Dr. Manhattan, so like a god, but as crazy as the Joker. I also want to give you guys 2 music tracks to go check out maybe on Spotify, like The Adventures of Moon Man and Slim Shady from Kid Cudi. And then Just, J-U $T from Run the Jewels. But yeah, looks like we're pretty short and sweet this week. I also want to just say thank you if you guys had, made it all the way to the end of the first episode of the CuzNCiseal show. Thank you again. If you like the show, don't forget to save me in your RSS feeds. Maybe save me on your podcast apps. Maybe write a review. I'd appreciate it. Even any constructive criticism, because this is my first try by myself. That'd be really appreciated. Hopefully, like I said, I'm going to do this weekly. I wish you guys will follow me on Twitter at MikeFowler93. And I have it set up, so if you guys looked it up at CuzNCiseal on Twitter, that's also set up too if you want to follow that yet. I'm still working. I'm old. It's hard for me to handle 2 different Twitter handles. But yeah, I did have the at CuzNCiseal ready for the CuzNCiseal show. I set up an Instagram for the CuzNCiseal show too if you guys are on Instagram. But yeah, until next time, thank you. Be good to each other, and then I'll see you next week.